Before I enter, let me show you where we started in this workshop. One year ago, it had a lot of things in it, so we built shelves and painted the floor, and that makes it look clean. After that, we started doing projects that created the workshop that you see today. We are far away from nice looking workshop, and we'll have to do a lot more to get there. Still, we definitely love this cozy little workshop, and we just hope you like it and write us ideas down in the comments to make it better. We really appreciate your opinion. Welcome to my shop. So as you can see, I'm using the Canon camera, which is the 700D, or in United States it's T5i. And it's a good camera, has the stock lens, so I should maybe change that in the future, so it will be better. So as you can see, my shop is in the basement in an apartment building, and this is why many times I cannot make a lot of noise. So I have limited time access to this place, but it's okay, sometimes I can make videos. So as you might see, it's a very small shop, and I have a lot of storage here I have to get rid of. So I hope in the future we can take out this stuff so we can expand a little bit the shop. But ultimately I want to build my own shop. Well, let's start with this corner here. In this corner I have my lumber storage, and this goes all the way through the shop, all the way this side. There are some scraps on the floor, and in the back I have more wood storage, just about there. That's more wood storage, and underneath goes. Okay, as you enter my shop, very next to the door, we can see the jointer and the planer combination. Focus. Okay. So here is the jointer and planer, and it's a combination machine. It works fine. The fence is not really good, but it works okay. You have to adjust it a little bit, and that's fine. I made a push block for it, so for the smaller pieces you don't get near the blade. The miter saw is Evolution Power Tools. They gave me this saw around a year ago, and I have been using it since I've already changed the blade. Now I have 60 teeth blade on it, and it works just fine. I don't need anymore the zero clearance fence for it. Here is the hose for the ducts collection that goes over the ceiling and then all the way down there. A little closet that stores the sander on the top, and there are some drills, the jigsaw is there, also some router bits and some Forstner bits. In the closet itself, inside we have some screws there that I have to move to the dust collection unit storage. Then I have some pieces of exotic wood there that we found on pallet. We found a pallet that was Purple Heart. That was very lucky since we live in Croatia. And there is some junk on the top. Then we are continuing here. This is the Morris table, so he keeps all of his junk here, and I like to keep my big table more or less clean as I can. This is a DeWalt 745, I think, the model. I used to own the same saw when I was living in Mexico, when I was working in the garden. I bought it for my father-in-law, and I loved the saw. It was working perfectly and everything, and this one just doesn't. So European version really sucks. What I really like about this saw is the fence, because the fence, it's you can adjust it with this knob, or you can just push it if you'd like. But it works as a rack and pinion system, so it's a really good fence. I love the fence on this saw. It's very easy to adjust, and it locks really firmly in place. So the system works great. You can raise the blade, and you can lower it, and you can angle it here. But when you don't have zero clearance insert like we have now. I also really like the power on this saw, and what I did also, I changed the blade that was inside for a 40-tooth combination blade, and this cuts much more smoother. And it's a thin curve blade, okay? I had the big curve inside, and then the zero clearance isn't anymore like zero, but we have to make another one. What I don't like about this saw is that the miter slots are actually crooked, so nothing works in it. I did a sled, but I have to make it so it works, so I will have to do the solution as Matthias Wandel did and sand these edges so they are parallel to each other, if I can make it. The next thing that was bad on this saw and we had to make it was this emergency stop button, because this was the original solution, it was just start and stop, and because of that it was very hard to turn off the saw when you wanted it. In case you're in a cut where you need both your hands, you couldn't do it with the third hand because you don't have it. So when you need to now, you can stop it with your knee, which is great. The table saw cabinet that I built, it's great, it's on casters, so we can basically move this saw when we want to. We can lock it down. I really like the look of this cabinet because it's pine and beech combination, and I almost salvaged everything. These were cut-offs of beams, and these were the school desks that were going to the trash. In the drawers, I have some pieces from the saw that were original. The miter gauge that is complete crap on this saw, so don't buy it. And there I have the sander also that Evolution Power Tools sent me. This is a mini belt sander. Worked quite fine, but for smaller jobs. Inside of the cabinet I still have the heating gun and the glue gun here. On the bottom side I have a circular saw that Evolution Power Tools sent me. And it's okay, works fine, can cut through metal, so that might be useful. And I have the router, which is not the best quality, but it works. In the back I have also the hand planer and the charger from DeWalt. Now on this wall, these are the creations of my brother. He also has a channel on YouTube, which is called Epic Workshop. Except for the metal ball that was from the dog ball, every other piece that you see that looks like metal is actually made of wood, and it's a beautiful technique that he uses to make this look like super real. I love the way they look in the shop and they're on the wall. And this helmet here, it was made from wood shavings, believe it or not, and this is a metal part also. He made this from 800 pieces or something like this. That was a huge amount of work, but it's a good job. Here in this corner of the shop we have a small scroll saw that works great for smaller pieces, and we also had to build a zero clearance insert, but with the time when you cut it gets wider. But it's still better than the plastic one that came with the saw. I like this saw because it's so silent and it has the light integrated in the saw. On the bottom of the big bench that I made we have some clamps here, the clamp storage. In the back there is a box that doesn't have anything, and on the bottom here we can see the sharpening system that we have. We have a whetstone there, and when it's needed we put it in the water a little bit and then we sharpen our tools. Morris is the master sharper of the shop. All of this space that is underneath, I would like to build it for storage, so we need to make some big drawers there, and then it will be really useful to get rid of most of the junk that is collected. On the table we installed this vise, and we keep a magnet on it so we can keep some small pieces attached to it when we need them, so we don't lose them. We put 2 pieces of wood so they don't mar the work. On the top here we have the towel, so we can get some towels, and we have the brush to clean the desk. And now we arrived to the centerpiece of the shop, which is the most beautiful piece in the shop, and I just love this cabinet. It looks just so nice. When you come into the shop it gives me like inspiration and the will to work actually. It looks great and we really love it. We changed it over the course of the months from the time that we built it, and we added a lot of tools as we could. On this part of the cabinet we have the saws. We use the Japanese saw, which is a great pull stroke saw that we bought in the local home center. And then we have a Veritas saw from Lee Valley, which is a beautiful western saw for cutting dovetails. Although my preference is still on the Japanese saw, I got used to it, so it's a little bit harder to start the cut with the western saw. And I have a big Japanese saw that I use to build a pergola. This is a coping saw, that is a cheap quality coping saw, and I hope to upgrade that in the future. This is the center of the cabinet, and inside of this cabinet we have chisels. We use these Stanley Sweetheart chisels, which are the new ones, and we absolutely love this chisel. They're not cheap, but they're not expensive as Lee Nielsen or Veritas chisels, and they work just as fine, just great. The only thing that you will have to do when you buy them is hone them a little bit, like every other chisel you need to, and to flatten backs a little bit. But otherwise they work really, really great. I wouldn't change them. On the top we have some carving tools which Morris bought, and these carving tools, they are two cherries from Germany, but they're really bad quality. I don't know what happened when we bought them, but they don't do well, and they cost a lot of money. They costed around 100 euros. On the top here you can see the gimlets, and these are great drills to drill small holes in wood, and they come really in handy when you have like a very small space where to drill. Then the Thor hammers from Viking hammers that Morris built. The smaller mallet is for finer work, and the big one is for bigger work, and it has some heft to it. On top of here we have a saddle square. This comes really in handy when you need to mark the both sides of the work you're working on. I use them for dovetails usually. Here I have this dovetail marker, which was given to me by Mitch Peacock, and I will leave the description to his channel. And you can make this one, or if you want to support his work, I invite you to buy it from his Etsy store. It's really beautiful piece, and I love to use it for marking my dovetails. So here I have my marking knife and my marking gauge, and with the dovetail marker, with the compass, I use all of this to create hand-cut dovetails. We have some planes. We have a router plane, which is a beautiful router plane from Veritas, and their low-angle jack plane. This is a premium plane, and I really recommend, if you can buy one, that you go with it and you won't be disappointed. Otherwise, you can always buy used Stanley planes before the Second World War. Mine, it's not from the Second World War, and when I bought it, this was a complete piece of junk. So what I did with it, I turned it into a scrap plane, and I simply widened the mouth, and I made a little bit of curve in the blade. I sharpen it so it's in curve, and it works just wonderful as a scrap plane. We also flattened the bottom many times, but you can still see the dark spot there. And also the sides we made look nicer. So it looks like a nice plane now, even though I wouldn't recommend buying this plane. If you ever stumble on it, don't buy it. Buy used ones, they're much better planes. For protecting all your blades, we use this rag in a plastic box, and we put the oil on top of it, and then we protect all of our planes. So where you touch the cast iron, it will rust really quickly. So we just like to pass them lightly. So next we have this block plane that is from Yuma, and this block plane works really, really fine. I was very impressed by the quality that it was in. It's not like the quality of Veritas, but it's at the third of the price, so you might consider buying these Chinese premium tools. So we have the spoke shave, which is the Veritas spoke shave, and I love just how it looks and works also. It feels great in the hands, and it shaves just beautifully. It's good for making outside curves of the dowels or of the curves that are on the outside curve. For the inside curve, I have to buy another one, which is also, those are quite expensive. I think you can buy a way cheaper spoke shave, and it will also work great with the sharp knives. On top of the cabinet we have an old plane that is a wooden plane, and before we had any of these planes, we used to have this one. This is from my father, and we used it a lot, and it works beautifully. You just need to sharpen the blade. Basically the conclusion is you can buy any plane with a flat sole, and if you sharpen the knife properly, it will work like a great plane, I'm sure. So this is a beautiful plane, works great. Some of the planes, they have chip breakers, some don't. So the planes that have the chip breaker will work better for the tear out for your boards if you have complicated grain. Then on this side you can see a little brush, and this brush we use to clean out the dust of the planes so they look like representative. This is really not a necessary step, but we like how they look when we clean them off, when they look clean. So here in the corner on the top we have a humidity and a temperature meter. On the side here we have some files that are fine files that we use for a finer work. On the bottom also we have this little square that I absolutely love how it looks, and we use it quite a lot for marking the dovetails or just checking out the squareness of the pieces, and it's really precise. This little piece does a speaker that we use when we want a little bit of music in the shop. On this side of the cabinet we have an all countersink bit, some screwdrivers, the bevel gauge, two steel rules with the center finding rule, which I find really useful when I have to find the center of the board quickly. Drill bits that you see here, we use it for a hand drill, and I'm planning in the future to place some around this part of the shop the drill press. So we will use them from this cabinet, but probably then I will make another special cabinet for those. We have some calipers here, the squares, the speed square, which I found really useful. Here in Europe we don't have these kind of squares because they use them for the carpentry, for making houses in United States. And I got it from the United States, and I really fell in love with it. I love the concept of it, how easy it is to put on the side of the things, and you can just measure the squareness really fast with it, and it's quite precise too. Also we have the micrometer, and we like to measure the shavings that we get from our planes when they're really sharp from the beginning. Then you get like half a towel, and it's really amazing. So on the lower part of the cabinet we have these drawers that Morris made, and in them we store some tools also. Some parts, the pens here, pencils, some waxes, some knives, and some drill bits. On top of the cabinet we have a level. We have this gas ball, which is just a decoration here. Okay, the light is in the way, but this is just for decoration here on top, and I really like how it looks. It's a little bit dusty now. On top of the shop we have the Dremel, which it's hanging from the ceiling, and it's a system that Morris built to lower it down so we can work on the finer pieces. On this side here we have a box here that is from the jointer, but we use it, we have the bag inside, so when we plane something on the table we just show it to the bag there. And then the last part of the shop is this. This is the cabinet that it's for the dust collection system. And I love the look of this cabinet. So on this cabinet I made some shallow drawers that they use the space, so there is no wasted space here. In the doors here there is a bucket with a cyclone here, so it separates the dust that it comes from the dust collection system into the vacuum cleaner. So I don't have to clean the shop vac that often. I have this switch here that turns on and off the vac. On this side I have the pocket hole jig that it's mounted on a board, and it works perfectly when I need it, so I just take it off the wall and I put it on the table and I work with it. On the dust collection in the future I would like to place here my CNC, which I still have, and it's in pieces. I have to arm it. I will just use it to add some carvings and some details to my projects. So on the top of the shop, as you can see, we have the mirror, and beside it it's the alarm in case someone gets in the shop that is not invited, so the alarm would sound and give us a message on our phones so we can come and see you. I hope you don't mind this longer video format. I wanted to show some tricks and some tools that I have in my workshop. Please let me know in the comments, how did you like this shop tour, what would you like to change in the shop, and what would you want me to build for my next project. Many people have asked me why I put so many Spanish videos on my channel, and from the beginning I started to do English and Spanish videos, but at one point I started doing only English videos. So these are my older videos that I'm just translating to Spanish. All the new videos that I'm going to put on my channel, they will be in both English and Spanish, so thank you for your patience. I wanted to use this opportunity to thank my Patreon Chris from Clickspring and Otomoto from Croatia. Thank you very much. Your support means a lot. You can support me and my shop by becoming a Patreon. I will leave the link down in the description. If you're new to my channel, I invite you to click on that red button and subscribe down there. It's completely free and you will keep up with me. I hope to see you soon in the next video in Andrea's workshop. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.